It is your boy T with another Have You Seen That with T movie review, and today I'm reviewing Silent Night. So Silent Night came up on my radar about 2 to 3 months ago. I was watching a movie in the theaters, and that trailer played before the movie, and I was extremely intrigued once I found out it was directed by John Woo. Uh, you know, Short backstory, about 30 years ago, young kid up late at night watching Cinemax. It's about 1, 2 in the morning, and The Killer came on. First time I've ever seen a John Woo movie, and I was completely enamored. Of course, this is before Face Off came off. This is, completely showing my age, which, by the way, yesterday was my birthday. Happy birthday to me. There we go. Hitting that 45 like MJ when he came back. But I was enamored with the John Woo experience, the doves, the church shootout, the dueling guns, the big shotgun blast. Like that was his calling card. I went on to watch Hard Boiled, A Better Tomorrow, all of these classic John Woo movies, and of course Face Off, The Replacement Killers. He stylized action back in the early 90s, mid 90s, and to the late 90s. Then he kind of disappeared, and maybe he did more Hong Kong action work since then. But on American shores, he kind of disappeared. And here we are, 2023. This movie, I want to say, was made, 2 or 3 years ago, and it stars Joel Kinnaman as the main character. I really can't remember his name, and he at the beginning of the movie is running around in blood-soaked clothes, and he's chasing down some gangsters, and he gets shot in the throat, right? And that kind of starts the tone of the movie off on this very dour note, this very revenge-filled note, because from the trailer, I knew it was going to be a revenge film, and I love a good old-fashioned revenge film where somebody's out for blood, and they're out to get revenge for them being wronged. But everything about this movie was just executed incorrectly, wrong. There's so many things wrong with this movie. As I'm watching it, I was just becoming more and more disinterested because the first two-thirds of the movie is him recovering from this gunshot wound. And oh, by the way, the entire movie is silent, right? There is no, I mean, the only talking, the only speaking in this movie is police radio chatter. It's all musical number. It's all Joel Kinnaman emoting, and Joel Kinnaman has these sunken in eyes that really take me out of any of his characters because he just seems so depressed and so depraved throughout the movie. It's really hard to sympathize with him, especially once he begins training. So at the beginning of the movie, it starts off on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, and his son gets tragically gunned down by a stray bullet by these gangsters, fighting each other, shooting at each other in moving vehicles, right? They come around the corner, they shoot uh, Joe Kinnaman, his wife. They get out of the way, but the kid gets struck. He's riding his bike. He just got a bicycle for Christmas, and he gets struck by a stray bullet, which is definitely tragic, right? That definitely builds up enough emotions for him to want to get revenge, but it's the way he goes about this, right? Joel Kinnaman, he's not an ex-Marine, he's not an ex-cop, he's just a regular old dude who tries to chase these guys down. He ends up getting shot twice. I want to say one in the abdomen and one in the throat, and that's where he loses the ability to speak. Now, what they could have done is in the flashbacks actually have people speaking or people around him speaking, but nobody speaks in the movie. It's just a bunch of random actions. So this regular Joe Schmo takes to YouTube and learns how to defend himself. He learns how to shoot. He goes to this abandoned car, like factory area, where he learns how to drive this old beat up Mustang. And once again, right? So if you're trying to pull off revenge, if you're trying to go out and kill people, why would you get an old, raggedy, loud ass Mustang so everybody can hear you coming? It's one note. We're just going to put a pin in that one for right now. And then this young man, this older, middle aged gentleman, starts training in his garage watching YouTube videos. He's doing these driving scenarios in this abandoned warehouse, which makes sense, right? he goes to the indoor gun range and he learns how to shoot, right? And if you've ever shot a weapon, any type of weapon, it's completely different being in a very sterile range environment than it is shooting someone from a moving car. So this all takes place on one Christmas where he loses his son. He recovers till about April where he's just, drinking and pretty much driving a wedge between him and his wife, to where she leaves him. And from April until the next Christmas, he trains up to go kill these bad guys. And it's a gang, drug dealing gang. They're dealing in money laundering. They're dealing in trafficking, sex trafficking, and things of that nature. Heavily on drugs, though. We learn a lot about their drug movement. So as he's taking these pictures, right, the cops can't get close to him, but this untrained, unfamiliar person goes and buys an extremely long lens camera, and he's taking pictures of these drug dealers from a distance, and nobody sees him, and he's preparing for Christmas the next year, right? So just let's put that in perspective. We got April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, right? 9 months in order for him to get ready, in order to take down an entire drug operation. 9 months of training off of YouTube and going to a range. Now, don't get me wrong, you can learn how to shoot. You can learn how to be a better getaway driver in 9 months. But at some point in time, there has to be a proof of concept, right? Like, he doesn't do any missions before Christmas. He just starts on Christmas Eve, just like good old Kris Kringle himself. And he just starts taking down the bad guys. Now, the crazy thing is he gets his ass handed to him in every single fight that he gets into, but he makes it to the main boss, at the very end, and there's this very anticlimactic kill at the end of it. And yeah, I'm spoiling a lot of the movie because it's terrible. It's not a good movie at all. It's completely unrealistic, at least in my eyes, right? There were a lot of the training montage where I felt uncomfortable because he seemed so unhinged. It just seeing this man in his garage, with his level of focus, especially with the amount of gun violence that we have in this country, to me, it just felt like it was giving people ideas. That's not me being sensitive. That's not me being any type of left, right, whatever, anti-gun, whatever the case may be. It was just the feeling that I had in the theater as I was watching him drive everyone away from him, not say anything. And just the way Joel Kinnaman looked, he just had, like, his eyes just have this despair in them that just kind of threw me off. And he just seemed like a complete madman. And don't get me wrong, if I don't even want to say this, but I understand the anger. I understand the want to get revenge, but just the way he was going about it just seemed completely preposterous and ridiculous to me. It just really took me out of the movie. You're not going to learn how to beat people up watching a YouTube video and having a dummy. Now, if he'd have been, sparring, if he'd have went to a local gym and joined the MMA club and they taught him Krav Maga and they taught him Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and things like that, I could understand that. But like fighting a dummy in your garage is totally different than fighting a human who knows how to fight back. And we saw that in the movie because he got his ass handed to him in every single instance where he tried to put his hands on other people. Maybe that was the cautionary tale in it all, is you don't know how to fight. You don't, but at one point in time in the movie, he's driving in this Mustang and he is center massing like gang. There's a shootout going on between two rival gangs, right? They're across from each other, and he drives in the middle and he's like hitting people, double tap, pop pop. I mean, just two chest shots, and it was like, man, that isn't something that you gain, training from shooting in the range. Like, and at least they never showed us him shooting from a car, because where do you go to do that? They're in the middle of LA. He's in this, in this factory, but like, you're still not able to just shoot around in this factory, right? But it just took me out of the movie. It just seemed completely ridiculous. And the movie itself just wasn't a good movie. It definitely could have, used a few additional words in there. You know, definitely could have used a few additional words. I understand the main character getting shot in the throat. He can't speak, but the people around him can speak. The bad guy can speak, so we kind of get where he's coming from. They're all just cartoon characters. This is one long episode of Looney Tunes, or the way I thought of it as I was leaving the theaters. This is the demented first scene from the movie Up. In the beginning of the movie Up, right, you see this husband and wife, and you see as the years go by, it's all done silently, and you feel so much emotion at the very first 5 minutes of the movie Up. And this movie is just a 2 hour long demented version of that, and it was just not fun for me. Once it got to the end, I was already completely disinterested, and they finally had a dual pistol wielding moment in the movie, which I was just waiting for, because it can't be a John Woo movie. There were no doves. There was a bird somewhere in there, but there were no flying doves. It just looked like a long music video, set to violence, and it just wasn't any fun for me. I don't really recommend this movie. This is something that might become a guilty pleasure for people years, something you can watch while you're playing on your phone, because I was fighting the urge to play on my phone as I watched this movie. It's just not a very fun action movie. It's not a very good action movie. It's just a movie that exists. John Woo, I hope you come back and do Face Off 2 or something else. Don't let this be the last image I have of you. I know you're a wonderful director. You have directed some of the greatest action movies of the last 30 to 40 years. Please do better. Please give us something other than Silent Night. Yeah, I can't endorse this movie. Stay away from it. Get it when it comes on streaming, when it's free, when it's on Tubi or something like that. This definitely would have been greatly served as a Tubi original movie or something like that. But here we are, 2023, Silent Night. What did you think of the movie? Did you enjoy it? Did you like it? Did you think that no one speaking in the movie was a good choice? Or was it a poor choice? I thought it was a poor choice. Definitely like and subscribe to the Have You Seen That With T YouTube channel. And I'll catch you next time with the review of Dream Scenario. A much better movie, I might add.